Tom Pilla here at Indra's Web. As promised, we're going to do an unboxing video. I've got two great new species, two spunky species, Nandu Tripepii and Sericapelma species Santa Catalina. So we're going to unbox those real quick and get them in their new enclosures. Can't be very long today. It's middle of the workday. I have stuff I need to be doing, but they're here. Gotta unbox them, and I'm going to share that with you guys, of course. Okay, so we're gonna open up the box. That usual great packing from Fear Not Tarantulas. Tanya packed this one herself, it looks like. Thank you, Tanya. Fear Not just always does a fantastic job. They were the first breeder and distributor that I ever ordered from, and I, of course, have ordered many more from them since. So, well cared for. They made sure that they did home delivery only under the conditions that it would not be over 75 degrees on the day of delivery. And here in Youngstown right now, it is certainly not 75 degrees. Well, okay, here's something new. I'm already learning something. All right. I don't know if you can see. It says strawberry blonde bird eater. I have not yet heard that common name for Nandu Tripepii. I saw a Brazilian giant blonde when I was doing my research, but strawberry blonde bird eater, I have not heard that one. So, and of course, Sericapelma species Santa Catalina, which, as you can see, is probably a decidedly larger specimen, which is mildly concerning given that they can be rather fierce from what I hear. They're a New World species from Panama. I'm going to get them water real quick. Since both of these are spiderlings, you know, you always want to make sure that you're giving your spiderlings a decent bit of moisture. From what I've read, you know, there's not much on species Santa Catalina. It's like we discussed with Formictopus. The World Spider Catalog has, I think, 13 officially recognized species of Sericapelma, and species Santa Catalina is not one of them. So it's got to be some kind of derivative of one of the existing ones, or maybe a misplaced species that might belong more in another genus. They are, from what I've read, closely related to Aphonopelma, but pretty much across the board, it's recognized that this is a very, very spunky, even we would say highly defensive genus for the most part. So, gonna go ahead and get that off there. As always with you know, unboxing or rehousing or something like that, you want to have your paintbrushes and your tongs ready, and have your catch cup, of course, in case things don't go quite as planned, which with tarantulas is rather often. So I'm gonna zoom in here. There we go. See if we can get a look at the little one. Well, it might not be so little. This is supposed to be about an inch and a half spiderling. Always be careful when you're pulling out the cotton here. that you get a good hold of it so it doesn't kind of tighten. Because if you pull just one side of it and it starts to kind of unravel, you can actually squeeze the tarantula and even crush it. So make sure you get a good hold with your tongs and pull it out as evenly as possible. See, just like that. Want to keep it intact. All right, now here's the fun part. Wondering what the tea will do as we begin to unravel the and I'm just going to go ahead and unravel this here over top of the enclosure, because you want to make sure that if the tea comes charging out, that it's going to go right where you want it to go, and also it's not going to fall. So open it as closely as you can to the substrate. Okay, and there's the little one. This is actually kind of a fairly big enclosure for this sling. So I might have to rehouse it. Maybe I miscalculated how big an 1.5 inches is, but it's going to dig, it's going to burrow, and that's part of the reason why you want to keep your enclosure right sized. For right now, this is the enclosure I have for it, so I might have to transfer it quickly to something smaller. Can't do that right now. I'm just going to put it in here and let it, come on, get down, there you go. Okay, and we've got that little one in its enclosure. I don't know if you can see, I made things pretty damp in here, but it's got that striping there on the front legs. It kind of reminds me of Psalmopaeus when they're spiderlings. And I don't know if you can pick it up. That fringe right around the carapace there is fairly red, at least in my light. And you can see, if you look up pictures of them, and I'll put one up, the full-grown spider. They do have a nice kind of pinkish or reddish tinge to them, especially on the legs. They're a beautiful tarantula when they're full grown. Okay, yeah, I can't get up because it's wet, thankfully. Spunky little thing trying to get out of there. So let's put that lid on and make sure we leave it in there before we have an escapee. I don't need a second escapee this week. I had my Psalmopaeus erminia go on a little adventure in my closet over the weekend, and thankfully I caught it within an hour of realizing it had gotten out. That was my fault for not making sure that the Exoterran nanotall enclosure was locked. And usually what I do is, in fact, I would say always, except for the fact that I didn't do it the one time, so I can't say always, but most of the time I have a chopstick that fits right in that little locking, the little hole there where the door lines up with the main housing, and there's a little hole there you can put a lock on. I just put a chopstick in there. And that's how I know that that thing is shut and locked and safe. And I did not do that. So from now on, I don't close my closet door until that chopstick is in there, because I don't want Daenerys running away on me again. Okay, so be very careful. They're also quick and they're also highly defensive. So just be cautious. Even though it's a very, very small, about a third of an inch specimen here. I'll show you in a second as soon as I rip this off. You can see how small it is. Very, very tiny. And that's why it's got a very tiny hide and a very tiny enclosure. I'm going to go ahead and moisten down part of that corner there. That way the little one has, oh, gotta get that back on camera. Okay. Go. As you can see, they very often do not go where you want them to. And sometimes they will cling to the paper. So you have to get them to let go of the paper. There you go. And the little one is in there. I have to keep a close eye because, as you can see, it blends in pretty well with the substrate. And that's just something you deal with tiny spiderlings. They very often tend to blend in pretty well. So keep it moist. Neither one of these is what you would call moisture dependent. As I understand it, species Santa Catalina come from an area that goes from kind of dry to very damp, or they'll have periods of pretty long periods of extreme dryness. So you can keep them fairly arid. You want to give, at least my homework told me, you want to give this species, the Santa Catalina, a good depth of substrate to work with, because they like to burrow. Especially as spiderlings, they will burrow. I was told they will dig very deep burrows. So make sure that you're giving them the depth they need. As I understand it, with Nandu Tripepii, they're not really burrowers. With any spiderling, you might have burrowing, but at least as adults, they do tend to be out in the open a lot. So, that's one of the reasons people love them. They are big and fluffy. You can see the full-grown specimen that I'll put up here, and see how beautiful and pink and, they do, I guess it is an accurate description, strawberry blonde. They kind of look like a strawberry blonde, and they're just so fluffy. And that's why they're beloved. And they're also known for that feisty Nandu temperament. But there you have it. Pretty quick unboxing and housing of Nandu Tripepii and Sericopelma species Santa Catalina. And I will give you updates on them, of course. Hopefully, at some point, maybe even include them in a feeding video. I mean, with slings, feeding videos aren't exactly great, but I think for newer keepers, it'll probably help to see that. So you can see that, very often, some spiderlings will go right for the prey. Others tend to kind of run from it. But you can also see what I put in there and how I do it, in terms of, probably giving them like pre-killed prey, cutting up mealworms, things like that. I'll show you some of that. But for right now, they're in their enclosures, and I'll debate on whether or not I'm going to put this little one, this Sericopelma, in something smaller. I think it'll probably grow into this fairly well. With one molt, it should be comfortable in there, and we'll see. I'll think about it. But this is probably fairly right size for the Nandu Tripepii, maybe a little bit big. You would do fine with a 5 ounce or 2.5 ounce deli cup. That would be just fine for them. The problem is that especially if they blend in too much or if you have too much substrate in there, they can burrow down. You won't know where they are. You won't know if they're eating, and that's a problem.
That will wrap it up for this video. I want to thank everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Of course, ask me any questions in the comments if you like. I will get back to you with a response if I know the answer, or hopefully send you to the right source if I can't answer it for you. As always, thanks for tuning into Indra's Web, and I will see you next time.